Not a lot of attention is paid to the problem of how pharmacy affects on the ocean. The fact is that pharmaceutical pollution is completely handmade problem and occurs because of the incorrect disposition. There are two common ways of how drugs get into the ocean: through the sewage and the river's runoff. So, for the first type, the prescription drugs enter municipal waste treatment systems, which separate solid materials but do not remove all the dissolved chemicals from processed water. Hormones prescribed for human use survive those sewage and are discharged into the environment, eventually making their way to the ocean. Once it is in the ocean, those hormones are absorbed by zooplankton and remains in their tissues forever. And then by the food chain process occurs biomagnification, meaning that all those hormones are passed through marine food chain and accumulate in the tissues of larger organisms. So, for instance, EE2 hormone is an active substance in many birth control pills, which affects aquatic organisms. Even low concentration have an impact on fish both their behavior and their genetics. The research group of London University have seen a change in the genetic balance in fish and that they have a harder time catching food. Also, researchers noticed the development of problems with procreation, which will lead to the disappearance of fish population. The other way is poison runoff. How is it possible? Fertilizers are one example of an industrial chemical that is spread on lawns to promote growth. When these fertilizers are washed off land and make their way to coastal waters, they can cause the overabundance of algae known as harmful algal bloom, HAB. Dinoflagellates is a type of algae. Usually they have a red pigment that creates red tide, but when they don't color water and are still detrimental to the marine organisms, they're accurately called HAB, which means harmful algal bloom. These toxic blooms can make marine life very sick or even kill them because this decomposition removes oxygen from the seawater, which makes marine organisms suffocate to death. This is a fatal problem for those benthos organisms who simply cannot escape in time. For example, crabs, shells, or mussels, etc.
Animal feces, and sewage treatment plant. Today, we will only focus on the effect of antidepressants. As we all know, antidepressants work by balancing neurotransmitters that can alter moods and emotions. Scientists have shown even with low concentration of the chemical, it is still highly effective on marine organisms. For example, shrimps usually hide in the dark. With the increase of serotonin, it makes them become more attractive to light. As a result, they are exposed to the predators. We can easily reduce the amount of prescription drugs, but it all starts from you. First, you can avoid buying drugs in bulk, which can reduce the unused drugs in your medicine cabinet. Second, only flush poop, not drugs. Third, return the unused drugs to your local pharmacy or use the drug take-back program. Lastly, properly dispose it in the trash. What I mean by that is put the drugs in a Ziploc bag and crush it up and add more trash to it. Attached is a website for drugs take-back program and the number of Drug Enforcement Administration office.